What's up, everybody? Nic Bronkall here, coach and columnist for elitefts. A while back, I wrote an article on how to increase your longevity in powerlifting, and within that article, I discussed how improving your breathing will improve your performance on the platform, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about breathing today, and what I wanted to show you is what improper breathing mechanics look like, and then we're going to talk about how we can improve them. So the majority of the strength athletes and powerlifters I work with, they present with very similar breathing patterns. Now, while yes, breathing, you don't have to think about it. Right now, your state of breathing is just helping you survive. But what we want to do is help you thrive. Okay, so what Corey's going to do is he's going to go ahead and turn here to the side. So what I'm looking at is just what his rib cage is going to do. So he's going to go ahead and take a deep breath for me. Good. And then exhale. Good. So if you notice on Corey's inhale, the front of his chest expands, which is great. But what we need the rib cage to do is expand in the front, the back, and the sides. So what I also want you to look at is Corey's going to go ahead and lift his arm here. This is his diaphragm here. We also have one in our pelvic floor. When Corey takes that breath, his diaphragm tilts up, and that pressure starts to come out in the front. So this is why I don't like the cue, breathe into your belly, because that just makes that issue worse. So now we're gonna go over 3 drills to help improve your breathing mechanics. So when we saw Corey take a deep breath, we saw the front of his chest come up, and it overemphasized a little bit too much arch in his back. So I want to teach Corey how to get into a stacked position, which is where that thoracic diaphragm is in line with the pelvic diaphragm. Okay, so we don't want this open here, but we want it to be stacked. So this drill is called hook lying breathing. So we put Corey in a hook lying position, and to teach that ribs down or retract his rib cage, I'm going to have Corey go ahead and exhale through pursed lips like he's trying to blow through a straw. So go ahead, Corey. What this does is it gives Corey that feedback on what it feels like to put his rib cage into a down position. Now I'm going to have Corey take a slow inhale for about 4 seconds and maintaining that down rib cage position. Good, so he'll exhale. Now on the next breath, what I'm going to have Corey do is I'm going to have him tilt his pelvis under, or like he's locking out a deadlift. Okay, so when he goes to exhale, he'll bring his ribs down, his hips will come under him, and that'll give him some feedback on what that stacked position really feels like. All right, good. So now we're gonna keep working with Corey on his breathing and bracing. So when we started, Corey had that chest there where he was just breathing into the front part of his chest. Okay, so now that we've worked on the cue, I'm gonna say, all right, ribs down. Good. So we don't want him to like flex down, but we want him to be able to retract that rib cage down, so we can now get into that stacked position for when we go to squat. Okay. So Corey's got his ribs down. Now we're going to work on bracing. A lot of us have heard like the term like, oh, to brace, act like you're going to get punched in the stomach and you'll brace down. Okay. So whatever works for you to brace and push out around. Okay, so now the reason the breathing is so important is if Corey just breathes into the front part of his chest, that pressure is going to be equal into the bottom part in his abdomen. So if he breathes only in the front here, it's going to be in the front here. So that's why the cue, push your belly out, or belly breathing, just puts all that pressure in the front, and then we don't get any stabilization in the back. So Corey, ribs down. Now I want him to brace and hold that brace, and then I want him to breathe on top of it. Corey should feel pressurized and strong and stable from the pelvis up to the shoulders. So now when we go to squat, I'm going to be able to use this cue and terminology for him to put him in a better position. Good, so now what we're going to do is we're going to tie in the breathing and the bracing to show how it correlates to squatting. So Corey's going to go ahead and get under the bar. And what I'm going to have him do first is get into that chest up position, which is how he used to squat. So that chest is going to come forward, and you can see at that stacked position, he's now here. Okay, so go ahead and squat, go down under control, good, then come up. Now I'm going to go ahead and cue ribs down, good, hips slightly under. Now we're in a nice stacked position, good, and then Corey's going to go ahead and squat, good, and then come up. So you can see how he's nice and stable from shoulder to hip. What we need to watch is that we don't over tuck and go there into this flex position. So go ahead, relax, good. So it's just ribs down, slight tuck under of the hips, stack position, big breath, and then he'll squat. Good, and then rack. And that's how we tie in breathing, bracing, and squatting. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out the links below for all equipment, articles, and updates.
Perfect, yeah. Okay.